Good day everyone, and now let's discuss about the operating system. And let's start about the introduction to operating system. The operating system, or OS, is a software that controls how a computer's resources are distributed among its users. The central processing unit, or CPU, computer memory, file storage, input or output, or I/O, devices, and network connections are examples of typical resources. So, this graph shows to how to functions operating system. So, first is user, application, operating system, and hardware. So, how to functions operating system? So, operating system is it manages the computer's memory and process as well as all of the software and hardware. So it also allows you to communicate with the computer without knowing how to speak the computer's language. The definition of operating system. So an operating system acts as an intermediary between the user of a computer and computer hardware. So the purpose of an operating system is to provide an environment in which a user can execute programs conveniently and efficiently. So, we have three most common operating system. First is Microsoft Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. So, the history of operating system. Early history, the 1940s and the 1950s. In the 1940s, the earliest electronic digital system had no operating system. The system of the 1950s generally ran only one job at a time. It allowed only a single person at a time to use the machine. All the machine's resources were at the user's disposal. In the 1960s, the era of time sharing and multi-programming. The system of the 1960s were also batch processing system, but they were able to take better advantages of the computer resources by running several jobs at once. 1960s disappointing efforts of IBM to develop OS or 360 operating system. In April 1964, IBM introduced its new generations of mainframe computers. System or 360, it was so named because it was aimed at full circle of customers, from business to science, customers who did a lot of mathematical calculations, as well as those who did simpler arithmetic on large sets of data. The 90s Garmisch Conference, the concept of software engineering, the experience of OS or 360, made the computer community aware that the software had not been catching up with hardware, and because of that, the potential of rapidly advancing hardware technology was not being realized fully. Many of the software projects were becoming unmanageable and were going utterly wrong. In the 1970s, general development. The 1970s saw several significant developments that vastly broadened the scope and importance of operating systems. The experimental time-sharing systems of the 1960s evolved into solid commercial products in the 1970s. The 1970s development of Unix. From 1965 to 1969, Bell Labs participated with the General Electric and Project Mac at MIT in the development of Multics system. Originally designed for the mainframe, Multics was a large and complex system. In the 1970s, the beginning of microprocessor and the personal computer era. The enabling technology for the personal computer is the microprocessor, popularly known as microchip. These processors were actually integrated circuits which printed thousands of transistors onto small silicon chips.
Types of operating system. An operating system performs all the basic tasks like managing files, processes, and memory. Thus, operating system acts as the manager of the resources, like resources manager. Thus, the operating system becomes an interface between user and a machine. First is the bash operating system. This type of operating system does not interact with the computer directly. In 1970s, bash processing was very popular. In this technique, similar types of jobs were batched together and executed in time. People were used to having a single computer which was called the mainframe. In bash operating system, access is given to more than one person. They submit their respective jobs to the system for execution. The system put all the jobs in the queue based on first come first serve and then executes the job by one. The users collect their respective outputs when all the jobs get executed. The purpose of this operating system was mainly to transfer control from one job to another as soon as the job was complete. It contained a small set of programs called the resident monitor that always resided in one part of the main memory, and the remaining part is used for servicing job. Next is the time-sharing operating systems. Each task is given some time to execute so that all the tasks work smoothly. Each user gets the time CPU as they use a single system. These systems are also known as the multitasking systems. Thus, it helps to provide many users direct access to the main computer. It is a logical extension of multi-programming in time sharing. The CPU is switched among multiple programs given by different users on a scheduled basis. A time-sharing operating system allows many users to be served simultaneously. So, sophisticated CPU scheduling schemes and input or output management are required. Distributed operating system. These types of operating system is a recent advancement in the world of computer technology and are being widely accepted all over the world, and that too with a great pace. Various autonomous interconnected computers communicate with each other using a shared communication network. The distributed operating system is not installed on a single machine. It is divided into parts, and these are loaded on different machines. A part of distributed operating systems is like installed on each machine to make them communication possible. Distributed operating systems are much more complex, large, and sophisticated than network operating systems because they also have to take care of varying networking protocols. Network operating system. This system runs on a server and provide the capability to manage data, users, groups, security, applications, and other networking functions. These are types of operating systems allow shared access of files, printers, security, applications, and other networking functions over a small private network. One more important aspect of network operating systems is that all the users are well aware of underlying configurations of all other users within the computer network, their individual connections, and etc. And that's why these computers are popularly known as tightly coupled systems. Real-time operating system. In real-time systems, each job carries a certain deadline within the job is supposed to be complete. Otherwise, the huge loss will be there. Or even if the result is produced, it will be completely useless. These types of operating systems serves real-time systems. The time interval required to process and respond to inputs is very small. This interval is called the response time. Multiprocessing operating system. In multiprocessing, parallel computing is achieved. There is more than one processor present in the system which can execute more than one process at the same time. This will increase the throughput of the system. Multitasking operating system. The multitasking operating system is a logical extension of a multi-programming system that enables multiple programs simultaneously. It allows a user to perform more than one computer task at the same time.
Function of operating system. An operating system acts as a communication bridge or interface between the user and computer hardware. The purpose of an operating system is to provide a platform which a user can execute programs in a convenient and efficient manner. Security. The operating system uses password protection to protect user data and similar other techniques. It is also prevents unauthorized access to programs and user data. Control over system performance. Monitors overall system health to improve performance. Records the response time between a service request and system response to having a complete view of the system health. This can help improve performance by providing important information needed to troubleshoot problems. Job accounting operation system keeps track of time and resource used by various tasks and users. This information can be used to track resource usage of a particular user or group of users. Error detecting aids. The operating system constantly monitors the system to detect errors and avoid the malfunctioning of a computer system. Memory management. The operating system manages the primary memory or main memory. Main memory is made up of a large array of bytes or words where each byte or a word is assigned as a certain address. Processor management. In a multi-programming environment, the OS decides the order in which processes have access to the processor and how much processing time each process has. Device management. An OS manages device communication via their respective drivers. It performs the following activities for device management. Keep track of all devices connected to the system. File management. A file system is organized into directories for efficient or easy navigation and usage. These directories may contain other directories and other files.
Important details of operating system. Microsoft Windows. Redirect here for the parts of building. Windows for other uses. See Windows. Windows is a group of several proprietary graphical operating system families developed and marketed by Microsoft. Each family caters to a certain sector of the computing industry. Linux. What is Linux? Linux is a Unix-like open sources and community developed operating system for computers, servers, mainframe, mobile devices, and embedded devices. It is supported on almost every major computer platform, including x86, ARM, and SPARC, making up one of the most widely supported operating system. macOS or Macintosh operating system. macOS mean the Macintosh operating system is an operating system designed by Apple Incorporated to be installed and operated on the Apple Macintosh series of computers introduced in 1984. It is a graphical user interface based on operating system that has since been released as multiple different versions. Initially, macOS was known as operating software. Windows 10. What is Windows 10? Windows 10 is the most recent version of the Microsoft Windows operating system. There have been many different versions of Windows over the years, including Windows 8, released in 2012, Windows 7 2009, Windows Vista 2006, and the Windows XP 2001. While older versions of the Windows mainly run on desktop and laptop computers, Windows 10 is also designed to run equally well on tablets. Chrome operating system. Chrome OS, sometimes stylized as Chrome OS and formally styled as Chrome operating system, is a Linux-based operating system designed by Google. It is derived from the open source Chromium OS and uses the Google Chrome web browser as its principal user interface. Windows 7. Windows 7 is a major release of the Windows NT operating system developed by Microsoft. It was released to manufacturing on July 22, 2009 and became generally available to October 22, 2009. It is the successor to Windows Vista, released nearly 3 years earlier. It is remained an operating system for use on personal computers including home and business desktop, laptop, tablet, PCs, and media center PCs, and itself was replaced in November 2012 by Windows 8. The name is spanning more than 3 years of the product until April 9, 2013. Windows 7 original release included updates and technical support, after which installation of Service Pack 1 was required for user to reserve support and updates. Windows 7 Server counterpart, Windows Server 2008 R2 was released at the same time. The last supported version of the Windows based on this operating system was released on July 1, 2011. Entitled Windows Embedded Post-Ready 7, extended support ended on January 14, 2020, over 10 years after. Ubuntu is an open source. That means that users are allowed to modify its code, create and install as many copies as they wish, and distribute the customization anywhere. You don't need to pay for a license to use Ubuntu. Windows 11. Windows has always existed to be stage for the world innovation. It's been the backbone of global businesses and where scrappy startups became household names. The web has born and grew up on Windows. It is the place where many of us wrote our first email, played our first PC game, and wrote our first line of code. What is the Microsoft Windows 11 operating system? Windows 11 is the next major version of Windows operating system that Microsoft has just released. The launch of this OS marks exactly 6 years since the company last released a newly version of Windows. Microsoft has not released another version of Windows for quite some time because Windows 10 was a continuously updated operating system.
Companies involved in future technologies of operating system. The first one is Apple Computer. Apple was founded by Steve Jobs with 21 years old and Stephen J. Wozniak with 26 years in Palo Alto, California in 1976. AT&T, the American Telephone and Telegraph Corporation, can look back at a long history and numerous innovations. B Incorporate. The company B Incorporate was founded of Jean Louis Gacy with a couple of developers after his work in the Apple development department in 1990. FreeBSD. Jordan Hubbard started FreeBSD project in November 1993 by forking source code from 386 BSD operating system. HP, Hewlett-Packard. Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard founded HP in 1939. At the beginning, oscillographs was produced and commercialized. IBM Corporation. IBM Corporation Computing Tabulating Recording Corporation, or CTR, was founded in New York on June 15, 1911. CTR was renamed the International Business Machines in 1924. Linux. Linus Torvalds developed the operating system Linux. Linspire. Michael Roberts has announced the beginning of a ambitious project in August 2001. Mandrake Soft. Mandrake Soft was founded in France in 1998. Mandrake Soft published the takeover of the Linux enterprise Connectiva leading in Brazil, Latin America on 24th February 2005. Microsoft. Paul Allen and Bill Gates went to the same school and founded the company Trafodata for the manufacture of small computer system for the logging of car traffic in 1971. Minix. Minix was programmed by the computer scientist Andrew Tannenbaum as a teaching operating system of x86 computer. NetBSD. NetBSD is a Unix derivative and descended directly from a Berkeley networking release 2, BSDNet 2, and was published for the first time in March 1993. Novell. Novell has its roots in the computer manufacturer Novell Data Systems in 1979. And the last one is Palm Computing. Jeff Hawkins founded the company Palm Computing in 1992 and appointed Donna Domsky as CEO.